Welcome back to Creating Magic Minisode. I'm Danny,
And I'm Paula.
and we're back with Minisodes in 2025. So, slight change because we hate editing these down to fit the Instagram video because it gives us like 12 minutes. Not
Which is not
helpful.
easy.
It's not, and all the fun things that we say and joke about get cut out for the information. I was like, we're gonna do something else. So, you will now see a short reel from our minisodes, but the minisodes will now be video on Spotify and audio on your regular podcast platform. So you can still see our lovely faces if you want to hit up Spotify. We may consider YouTube. We haven't decided that yet. It's still too early in the year to think about that. But you can get them on regular podcast platforms as audio only. But if you want to see our beautiful faces, Spotify it is. Paula, what are we discussing today?
We are discussing Fourth Wing and Iron Flame.
That Paula just read for the first time.
I did.
And
I finished Iron Flame this morning.
there's a lot of emotions in Paula right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not going to recap. We're just going to go through like quick reactions because next week, a week from today of recording, the new book will be out, Onyx Storm. And you can join us on Fable if you are reading
Yes.
Onyx Storm and need a book club to be part of and people to talk with. We will be switching the book probably midday Monday. We will, as long as I'm assuming Fable will already have it up and running in time.
Let's hope
So
so.
we will switch the book over on Monday. So feel free to join us over on Fable at Creating Magic Podcast to have those discussions.
And we're both attending a midnight release at two
Yeah.
different stores.
Two different stores. We
So I'm
tried. We really
interested
tried.
to
A Monday
see.
night's hard.
Yeah, no, but I'm interested to see what the difference is going to be, right? Because you're at Barnes and Noble and
Hmm.
I'm at Books a Million. So I'm interested to see what that would look like. I haven't been to one since the last Harry Potter book, so it's been a while.
I've been to some
Um,
since then, but it's been a while. And I will say that when Crescent City released last year, I think, my bookstore didn't do a midnight release.
ooh,
Since this is the first time you have read it, let's get your reactions,
okay. I liked Violet more in the second book than I did in the first book.
which is what you were told also.
Yeah. Actually, a couple people were like, I found her more annoying in the second book. Um, I didn't in I don't even know where to start. I feel like the second book should have been two books because the end of part one had me like so like, oh my, I felt like if the book ended the way that part one ended, I
Hmm.
would have, and this is gonna sound bad, but it doesn't matter. I would have been more excited.
I
Right now, at the moment, today, less
You're
than
angry. You're
30, I would say angry. I'm disappointed because I honestly, I've I've never thought I'd run into something where I'd be like, oh, this was definitely overhyped. I feel like this
we
was
all like
overhyped.
I had a lot of feelings after reading it for the first time, and then I like reread it a week later because I was just like, what did I just read? Now, I will say from the rumor that we heard is that the author Rebecca Yaros wanted to split book two into two books, but the publisher wanted it as one book so that it reflected her second year, kind of like how Harry Potter did each school year.
Right.
And that's kind of what we heard about it is that they wanted it to be her whole second year. So the next book kind of is third year.
Which would be the last year, right?
It is, but there's supposed to be five books.
Right.
And
That was the
honestly,
other
right,
thing.
is there a school left to return to?
So yeah, I mean, I I don't know. I really like the dragons. The dragons are probably my favorite thing about the books. I mean, I think without the dragons, obviously this book would be like
It's a book about dragons. You couldn't
because
not have a
the
dragon.
dragons are
They're
it.
literally,
I
their literal job is dragon rider.
someone um people have asked me like, "Oh, what do you think of Zayden?" And someone compared Zayden to Rhysand, and I was like, "Whoa, whoa." First of all, Zayden is a boy. Rhysand is a man. I think Zayden's too young for me. You know, he's not
Younger than
hundreds of years.
500, yeah.
He's younger than 500, so obviously it's not going to work out for
So
us.
since you say that, and I think we've had this conversation, but I'm going to bring it up. On the other end, some people have compared Dane to Tamlin. And what are your thoughts on that? I personally, I think I would compare him more to Kale.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because in the beginning, you know how Kale was very like by the rules, hit like he didn't like choose a side. He was very waffly and he was whatever is the rules, whatever is the rules.
Did you say waffly?
Yeah. Like yeah, like he wasn't decisive. It was like always the rules, but wouldn't
Right.
waver.
Right, but then he saw the error of his
Yeah.
ways, which I think we also get.
It's
I
not
mean,
even like error of his ways. It's like he grew as a person, and we
right.
do get that. And we do have. I'm going to lead right into our first question, from Nicolette. Is Dane worthy of a redemption arc?
Yes.
I agree.
I
I
think
agree.
so. I think
He is not
he
like Tamlin, and I don't like the people that compare him to Tamlin.
no, no way. And I'm gonna say I at the beginning, now I don't know what obviously what's gonna happen in the next they can make us hate him again in the third book. In the first book, I was like, at the beginning, I was like, I get it. He is following the rules, right? I kind of like follow that a little bit. Obviously, I'm not gonna like, I don't know, risk my friends' lives to follow the rules, but I think I fall in that like I don't think I necessarily break the rules. I'm
Yeah.
not a rule breaker. So
No, I get what you're saying. You can't really also compare it because they're just used to death everywhere. Like,
right, like who sends their kids here on purpose? General Sorrengill. Um, I was like, at the beginning, I was like, oh no, this is, I don't know if I'm gonna make it.
I
These
have to
people are
go
dying.
right now where you're at. Who are your favorite characters?
I'm a side character girly. I mean, aside, I don't want to say the dragons because they are. I mean, they're
Oh, the
amazing. Like
Snark
I
of the
love
Dragons is the best.
Andarna. Oh my God. Um, but like Riddick, even Sawyer. I have something to say about Sawyer, but I'll say it later on. Rhiannon, who I didn't trust at the beginning. I was like, girl, I don't. But at the beginning, I always never trust anybody. Um, but the side characters, I do not. I think she was better in this book, but Violet is just not my vibe. I think it's because she's too young. I feel
You like aged up characters, and aged up by meaning they're 500 and Fae.
500 and Faye. I mean, Feyre was 19, but I feel like her life hardened her a little bit. Even though like she was a little bit whiny at the beginning too,
Yeah.
I felt like it was different. I felt like she had the right to be whiny. I don't know. I love him, but I don't I just it's not for me. I was like, she's irritating me. And what I did notice is that I think she didn't irritate me in the first part of Iron Flame is because he's gone most of the time. It's when they're together that she was irritating me.
Yeah.
And it was just her like,
Love struck.
yes. And I was like, girl. And then I have something to say about this at the end of this book.
Let's talk. I want to know what you have to say about Sawyer.
Okay, so I thought for sure he was gonna die. I was like, he's gonna die. And honestly, when I got to the end of this book, this is gonna sound horrible. I kind of hoped he would have died.
I want him and Jasinia's story.
Yes. That was one of the theories that Kelsey shared with me that I was like, oh, I didn't think about that. That like Jacinia is the one that's like telling,
She is the scribe of these stories. So at the
right? So that it's like her just like it's her retelling of this story. And I was like, ooh,
do you want, should I share my out there theory?
yes, please share that
This
one.
is from a work friend. So it's like not out there, but when he told me this, I was like, this has got to be said. This is for After Iron Flame. This is his theories for the next book.
All right.
Xanon is about to go on a rampage. He is going to scourge the earth of all venom. Less likely, Theria, Violet will also go venom. They will find an alternative fuel source for the power or just consume other venom. They will be ostracized by everyone, live in love outside the law, roam the earth and destroy evil everywhere it hides and rids the world of all corruption. Bonnie and Clyde style.
Wow. That is wow. That is well thought out. I'm just gonna say, like
Yeah.
that. It's giving Dorian's twin.
So you know what
Who
I
is
was
this
doing at
person?
work today?
Introduce me. I want to be friends with them.
They're a great person.
Yeah. No, I just felt I honestly felt like the emotional impact would have been better if Sawyer died. Because the end of Iron Flame didn't give me what I wanted. I I wanted to put down that book and suffer for the next 6 days. Like wanting to get to the next book. And obviously I'm gonna read it, right? Because I'm already 2 books in and I'm going to a midnight release party. But the book didn't end for me in a oh my God, I can't wait to pick up the next book. Is that
Yeah.
weird?
I get it because I felt that way. Even though I wanted the next book, I was just like,
I went back and reread the last 3 chapters because I was like, maybe I read something wrong. Maybe I'm missing something. So I went back because at first I was like, why is he in her bed if he's Venom and Jack Barlow's in a cell? That didn't make sense to me. So I was
because
like, maybe I missed something. Maybe it's a dream.
because he is starting to become Venom. He is not fully consumed, whereas Jack has been Venom for quite some time.
Yeah, but you're gonna risk that in your bed? Like,
She will.
you're right.
And he's fighting it. I don't think Jack was fighting being a Venom.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
do
I
you
just feel like he should be a little bit contained. That's
so
just me.
here's a theory that goes along with Venom. Do you think that Nowlin became Venom when he saved Brennan?
I don't know. I did wonder what happened, right? Because obviously when he was a siphon, right? So he gave up his life force or whatever
Mhm.
to save Brennan, which apparently you're not supposed to do. But where is he? Because Brennan is still alive, so clearly it was successful.
But it is mentioned that Brennan says that in Iron Flame it cost him everything to save him. So that could mean he's dead, but it could also
Yeah,
mean he is turned.
Brennan. I think I need to know how Brennan comes to be.
They go too deep into their power.
That's it? That's all it is?
Essentially, like we've seen Violet almost be Venom.
I'm missing something. It's all right.
Well, there's that scene where she's talking about like she feels the power when she wants to lean into it and her mom stops her
Right, when she's on
on the
the
verge.
rock.
That's
Yeah.
essentially like what turns you Venom is you're now pulling power
You're
from,
like power hungry.
yeah.
I missed that.
Do you have any theories for Violet's second signet?
I don't. I was really hoping that the time thing would come back somehow, but
Not as
it
of yet.
didn't. Yeah. That's what I was like thinking it would be like a variation of that, but that seems too simple. But no, I don't have one. I didn't even, oh my God, when I found out about the second signet for Zayden, I because I remembered reading the whole like you only get a second signet if you're like bonded to a dragon that was bonded to a direct
Direct
descendant in your
descendant, because they're
bloodline.
talking about the one girl is that her, um, why did I forget the word? Astral projection is more powerful because her dragon was like bonded to like a cousin, but she
Right.
doesn't have the direct line, so she's protected from that.
So then I thought it was interesting that he was able to hide that he was a type of intrinsic
Well,
like all this
yes.
time. And I was like, that thing that pissed me off too. The whole like I didn't tell you. I think I would be upset. I think she was right in being upset. I don't It
Yeah.
was the only time that I was like, "Oh girl, I get you." I would be upset too. And
How
I
do
didn't understand and I'm hoping that I under like the whole like ask me the right questions.
hmm
I I don't know.
how do we feel about the theory? And I'm kind of vibing on this, that everyone with a relic has a second signet.
Ooh, that's well, not 107 anymore. That's a lot of second signets.
It comes off of the theory is that when Liam is fighting in Fourth Wing, there's a sentence that says he is throwing ice, but we know that's not his signet.
Right.
And I don't know if that's like something that was missed in editing, and if people know my personal feelings on the editing of this book, it's possible. Or if
I
it
don't have
was,
thoughts on editing.
I have a lot of thoughts on how these books have been managed and the money grab that they have been. Or is it like a hint at a second signet, and that because of where their relics come from and the dragon that put it on them,
Hmm.
could it have created a second signet for all of them? And they are all hiding one.
I mean, I think that would be cool. But how is all of them are hiding it? That seems
They're all hiding so a lot. They're all hiding a lot. I'm just gonna say it.
but oh, I don't know. I haven't really had time to like theorize. I don't really theorize anyway.
Yeah.
I take guesses, which I'll tell you what, these two books, they made me feel like a genius.
Angel thinks that Brennan is sus.
I thought so when he didn't go with them originally,
hmm
when they go to Biscayeth or whatever, that Brennan agrees with the assembly, like that they shouldn't go. I was like, why not? So I wouldn't push that too far out there. Again, I'm still, and I don't know what it is because I don't have anything that's um like any proof or anything that somebody is being sus, but I feel like Rhiannon at the beginning, I was like,
See, I never thought that Rhiannon was sus. I was like, nope, this is the friendship.
this is the you were like, this is it. This is it. I was like, I don't know.
I was very disappointed is that book one ended and we have this big reveal. Brennan is alive.
Yeah.
And then we get to book two and it's like, no Brennan.
Yeah, you
Brennan was
barely get
missing.
Brennan.
It's just like, I'm like, these conversations aren't worth, this is not what I wanted out of Brennan. I was excited for Brennan to be alive. which means I feel like the theories that her dad is alive can't happen. We can't have another person come back from the dead. We know who can appear. Zayden's mom.
What? When
Why do they mention her if they're not bringing her into the story? She is gonna
and
appear.
it's gonna come in because at the end he says, "Why is it that I fail all the women in my life, all the females in my life?" Because it's when Sigale is telling him, "I chose you. Don't do this."
Hmm.
And he's like, "Why is it that I fail all the females in my life?" And I'm thinking it has to be his mom, Violet, and Sigale.
Well, his mom abandoned him.
Right. But maybe he feels
Maybe he
like,
takes that
why
on
would
as
my
his.
mom there abandonment issues, right? You're like thinking, but I thought it was when she asked the question, "Where's your mom?" I was like, "Holy crap, I
You never
assumed
even thought
that she
that.
was executed with everybody else."
Just like you never thought to ask what Dorian's dad's name was, besides the
Oh my
king.
God. I still can't. I went back. I was like, no, no, no. I'm that can't be. That's crazy. It's like the red rimmed eyes on Jack Barlow
Yeah.
when he challenges her
Oh
on
yeah,
that.
no. I caught that because it's mentioned here and there. Um, but
I didn't catch it until she mentions it again, like,
yeah.
"Oh, I
I'm curious if
remember."
we will find her second signet in this book coming out and what it can be. There's a lot of theories on what it could
What
be.
do you think it could be?
I go back and forth because there's like a lot of moments where they talk about how fast she is
Hmm.
and they're surprised at how they're like, "Oh, I know you were fast, but dang." So there's like above
Yeah.
those little comments. I like the theory that her second signet is her ability to enhance other people's powers.
Okay.
And
All
she may
right.
be doing it without realizing it.
Without realizing it.
Because there's moments where like people talk, and like the fast thing kind of links in with like the time slowing thing. It's kind of,
In that
so
same
I'm curious. There's so many theories out there. There's no way we can go through all of them. There's no way.
there's no time.
But we will have a mini-sode with
After
Onyx
we
Storm
finish Onyx Storm. Yeah.
after we finish.
Well, I'm curious to know what you rated these books.
I don't need the internet hating me. The people are so gung-ho for these books.
Oh, I know. Don't
Like
worry,
they
my
are the
review's
best
coming.
books. They are everything. Like they are the world best things we've ever read. The editing is not good. The rushing of the books to get out. I feel like the story could be a lot better, but because they have rushed to put them out, they have fallen to some issues when it comes to editing and cleaning up some of these things.
Yeah.
And I have been a book reviewer for well over a decade, and that bothers me and it gets to me, and I don't usually put my opinions about the books. I will tell people when like they're like, "Oh, should I read it?" I'm like, "It's a good story. I think you should
Right.
read it."
You're actually you and Kelsey and this other girl named Danny, another Danny, spelled the same way, told me the dragons are cool. And Angel. I felt
You
like
know
at
how I
the
feel
end,
about dragons.
I know you love dragons. So I didn't feel that the end of Iron Flame was very cliffhangery. It
There
didn't
wasn't a
give.
payoff.
I was like, "What? Okay.
Like the first
What?"
one's ending, I was just like, "You can't
Yes,
just
like
drop
that. I
that."
was like, I gotta pick up the next book right now.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, like that you have that. I did not get that feeling, and I'm not trying to be like a hater or anything. Even
It feels like so like with the Brennan thing, it's a short answer of how this happened. The
right,
Brennan thing is a huge problem to be solved. It is a whole plot, so it's really hard to be like, oh, this is a cliffhanger because we know this is going to take possibly the next three books to solve.
right,
So it's not something where you have that like, I need to know why this is.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
it didn't give me that. And at first I was like, can I even say this? I was like, yeah, I could say. And I'm gonna tell you what I rated Iron Flame 4 stars, but you know I like to give fives. That's like my, if I
Mhm.
finished it and I enjoyed it,
And
but
I
the
don't
fact
give
that I had
five
to
a lot. We're very
yeah.
different in this.
Yeah, I'm very like, and like I said, I'm not looking for like editing. That's it's just not me. I'm reading for the vibes. So for me, this book, Iron Flame, is like 3 stars. And if it would have ended after the first
After
part,
part one.
I would have given it 5. Because that first part was, it felt to me like the pacing was right. It felt right. And I couldn't, when it ended, I was like, oh my God, there's so much happening here. Like at the
Yeah.
beginning of part one, at the end of part one, that I was like, man, this really feels like the end of a book.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go into them being in Orisha, and it was kind of like, I was like, what? I don't know. And then at the end, it just felt like the things were like you're trying to close things off, but it wasn't closed. I don't know how to explain it because again, I'm not a book reviewer. So it didn't give me that and I was sad. This
Yeah.
morning I was upset.
Oh, I saw your response.
I was the book because I was like, "Oh, you know what? I haven't done this in a long time. It'll be cool to kind of read this with everybody," which I'm
Mhm.
still going to read next
Because
week.
there hasn't been like a big pop culture book that you have read as it came out.
Right. So I was like, "Well, I'm going to read it with everybody else
Has
because
there been any book that you've read like that's this big?
no,
Because you read
only
Harry
Harry
Potter.
Potter.
Don't like
Remember,
that.
I'm new. I've only been reading for 1 year."
Yeah. Well, I mean, like Harry Potter, you would have read as it came out if you went to a book release.
Right.
But was that only the last book in Harry Potter, or did you do multiple?
I think I did the last 2 that way.
Okay.
I didn't do all of them that way.
And there wasn't the
And that
internet
was
community we
pre-social
have now.
media.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I kept thinking like, man, he's really like playing this. You have to, I need you to trust me. How cool would it be, or like evil, if he's like really evil? And yes, being Venom is kind of that, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
I was waiting for something like that it was his whole plan the whole time,
Yeah,
not that
like
he
it's been a
turned
big double
evil.
cross the entire time.
Yes, that's what I was waiting for. I was like, it's got to be this because he's really playing on the I need you to trust me.
Yeah.
I know you love me, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, he's manipulating her. He is gonna like really get her at the end. And then I was like, I turned Venom.
Yeah. Well, we have a week to find out, and we'll see what happens.
So what do you think? What do you think? Like, do you think that your feelings will change after you read the next book? Like, are you hoping your feelings will change after you read the next book?
About the series?
Yeah.
No, I don't think they will change.
No. Okay.
The publisher of these books tends to do this with a lot of their books, and the
Like
amount
rush them?
Hmm?
Like rush them, you mean?
they
Or
they feel rushed, and it feels because of all the additions they release, it feels much more like how much money can we make off of the trend that is currently doing than letting an author have the time to really put the time into their work. Because I'm not going to put this on the top of my list of my favorite fantasy books.
right.
I will read it and I will reread them and I enjoy them, but they're not as good as I want them to be. And I know they could be that, but they're not.
I will say the graphic audio is way better than the regular audio. I still think the Akatar graphic audio is better. Um, but it's really good.
Yeah.
Like I would definitely re-listen to it, and I probably will
Yeah.
as I just to, you know,
Refresh.
refresh. I mean, I don't
I
really need a
haven't
big
finished my
refresh,
Iron
but
Flame reread yet. I'm getting there. I'm close.
you're close.
Yeah.
But are you listening to it?
I'm listening to it,
Okay.
just because it's easier to do with work and life. And
Do you read every day?
I listen every day close to
Okay.
it. I try to read every day, but it's life has been very busy and I'm running two podcasts, so I don't necessarily have
I don't
time.
know why.
I have a dog. So, but I do try to read every day if I can and if I'm into a book. It's been a while since I pulled an all-nighter for a book.
Yeah. So do you
'Cause I
think
used
you're
to do
going to do
that
that for Onyx
all the
Storm?
time. Hmm?
Are you going to do that for Onyx Storm or no?
I can't tell you if I'm going to do that or not because it's based on the book.
Ah, okay.
Because I will tell you, all of my all-nighters of books are unplanned. And there's books I have reread. There's a book series I reread almost every year. And if I'm in a good part in it, I will still stay up all night reading it, even though I know exactly what happens. But they're books I love. They're
Right.
they're very well loved. They show that they're very well loved because I've had them. I think I got the first one in the set when I was in high school.
Oh, that is, see, I'm not, yeah, I don't think, I haven't pulled in all night. I stayed up late? Yes. Last night I almost did. And I'm so glad I went to bed because I think I would have been upset. I would have been more upset this
No,
morning.
I have seen many of a 4 a.m. because I was reading books.
And I think I'm starting to get like the feel of what I like.
Your genres. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't know how to name them, but I think I know, and I already know like the things that give me the ick, um, things that would probably make me put a book down. You know Courtney, right? Courtney's like every once in a while she'll post a book and she's like, it's not for you.
Sometimes you just know.
Like I don't I don't think I haven't read like a dark romance, but I don't think it would be for me. I think it's maybe too much for me.
Maybe a dark academia. Until next
Next
time,
time,
when we all read Onyx Storm, keep creating.
keep reading.
Woo!